to another episode of Journeying with Julie, the podcast. One of the questions that are often asked in sessions with clients is, why is my body responding to this situation when everything is okay? And why is it that my body's responding when I know and want to respond in a different way? And lots of clients in the past have been frustrated by that because they feel ashamed and helpless that their body is responding or not responding in the way that they want to. And so when we go through adverse situations or traumatic situations, our body doesn't respond in the same way because it feels like it's being threatened. And that current situation is overwhelming to our body's ability to respond. And so that trauma is stored and processed in a different way than any other event that may have happened that your body is not determining to be a threat. So if you've grown up in an environment that had adverse or traumatic experiences, and or your caretakers perhaps weren't always able to show up for you in order to help you feel safe and protected and nurtured, and being taken care of. So our body will not be able to respond to current life situations because it's going to detect a threat more often than it perhaps may notice in the environment. So our lived experiences create a bank of information that our body uses to respond to our environment. And we call that neuroception. It's how our nervous system detects our environment in order to determine how to respond. And if you've lived a life that has had a lot of trauma that is not processed and it's stuck in time, then your nervous system is going to use that information. And so faulty neuroception is often a part of many people's lives that have been through a lot of trauma, and that their nervous system is misreading. It's misperceiving the current situation. And so that's why people's bodies respond in a certain way without their control, because part of us, we have a Homo sapien brain, a mammalian brain, and a reptilian brain. And that mammalian brain is responsible for keeping us safe. So it will bypass that thinking brain, that human brain, in order to protect yourself from that situation that you find yourself in, that your nervous system is detecting as a threat. And there's a myriad of ways that we might respond to threats in our life. Most people have heard the word fight, flight, freeze, but there's also submit, collapse, and fawn. And fawn means to do what others are asking to appease them. Because if you're doing what others are asking, then they'll relax so that you're safe. If you please people, then they won't continue to attack or interrogate or threaten you. And so one way that our body responds is with a sympathetic response. So that fight and flight, our heart rate escalates, our breathing quickens, our muscles tense, and we have that energy to escape, to run, to fight, to protect. The opposite is when that shuts down and we become immobilized. And that's when we freeze, or when we collapse, submit and just let go and just do, or fawn to do that people pleasing and protect yourself by doing what others you think want of you. And so both are adaptive ways to our environment. And some people get frustrated because they're responding now in a way that maybe they responded when they're kids, and the way that they're responding as an adult, they feel embarrassed or ashamed about, because they're not responding in the way that an adult would, they're responding in the way that a child would. And those adaptive survival strategies that we developed as children in order to protect ourselves the more they fire, the more that they are wired together in our nervous system. The more that we do it, the more of a habit or on autopilot, a reflex that our nervous system has in certain situations. And the way that that mammalian brain works is if it sees a Post-it note or a flag that resembles something you see or hear, maybe even that you smell or taste, or even a sensation, that's enough for your nervous system to react. And there is no thought process involved. And that's what can be quite frustrating for people, is that they're using a rational mind to gauge and judge their body's response, when their body's response from that limbic mammalian brain is not rational. It's survival. And sometimes we need to normalize that faulty neuroception and the way that our body responds to trauma. And like Bessel Kolk says, that the body keeps the score. And in order to think we're safe, we have to feel we're safe. And that's where that interoception comes in, that sensation, those messages that are coming from within. We have to work with our body. Sometimes it's enough to do that cognitive reframing with CBT, but sometimes we have to work directly with the body, like in Peter Levine's somatic experiencing, or craniosacral therapy, or the trauma-sensitive yoga that offers choice and invitations to connect to your body in a way that feels safe to you when you're ready, so that you're not violating that interoceptive cue that you most likely did growing up because you needed to protect yourself. And oftentimes those messages from within your body, it's like the fire alarm in your house. If it goes off when you're making toast or frying fish in the kitchen and it starts to go off, some people just take the battery out because the fire alarm is just too sensitive. And that's basically what our body does when we've gone through so much trauma, that we just stop connecting to our body. And then we're not able to read our environment with the information and respond appropriately, because our body has kind of taken over for us and is perhaps using old information to read the environment and to respond in a way that worked in the past but doesn't work anymore. And so if you are listening to this podcast, I really encourage you to reach out to someone within the area in which you live, to perhaps go and see a body-based practitioner, or to seek therapy from a therapist who addresses your somatic responses and has training in how the body responds to trauma, so that they can help you move through slowly how to reconnect with your body and let your body know that it's safe now, so that that neuroception is reading the environment in which you're living in now, perhaps maybe with a supportive partner or with a stable job. And maybe you're not interacting with the people that have caused you pain in the past. And so it's time for your body to have a software upgrade. And the only way for that to happen is to work directly with your body. So I hope that this podcast has been helpful. And if you're struggling, please reach out for help, either to your loved ones or to strangers online through Psychology Today, or your local crisis line, or your nearest hospital, and find that support to reach out to connect and calm that nervous system with another nervous system that is stable and nurturing and protective. And so I hope to hear you. And so I hope to journey with you again soon. And take care. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Journey with Julie. If you have a question, topic, or story that you'd love to share, I'd love to hear from you. Please visit my website and leave me a note. And I'll see you next Tuesday, where we'll hear more about how to shift your life from surviving to thriving.